So every talk that we do, my goal is to give everyone something different, something they haven't learned about before. So the first thing is that beautiful lady that was just talking up here. Today's actually our 2-year anniversary, and we're getting married in September. So it's special that we're able to host this event together in Prehab headquarters on our 2-year anniversary, and that we get to celebrate it with everyone here. The second thing we want to share with you guys about something that you may not know too much about, with the exception of our person from Jersey and Christian who spent some time at Syracuse University, is a topic that we know pretty well. But before we get into that, a couple days ago, Brady and I get into town. We're walking Mike and Adele's dog, right? Wigglebutt Rocco, Truman. We get back into the lobby of the condo, and these two people come up to us and they go, "Dog sitting." And we're like, oh, Mike and Adele must have told them that we're dog sitting, so they knew this. They're up on the 3rd floor, they introduced themselves, and I keep saying like, oh yeah, we're with Mike and Adele, we're watching their house, we're watching their dogs, and they're like, Mike and Adele, okay. And they introduced themselves. And then we realized, you guys don't know who Mike and Adele are. How did you know that we were dog sitting? Take a step back, generalized perspective. Brandy and I are wearing tank tops, shorts, and sandals. They're wearing a coat, jacket, and gloves. We immediately stuck out like a sore thumb. They knew you guys are not from here because at this time, at this weather, you wouldn't be wearing that. But to us, it felt like summer. So it only made sense that when we were coming out here, that the topic that we can really learn a lot about is snow. We get a ton of it on the East Coast. The last time we were here in December, we went to this mall in Los Angeles, and they dropped snow down, but it was just like these like filmy little bubbles, and everyone went crazy. But it was like, no, let's talk about snow, because we're from Syracuse, New York, where in upstate New York, or New York as a whole, they award the Golden Snowball Trophy. It's whoever gets the most snowfall gets this trophy. Syracuse has won 29 times. It's out of Syracuse, Binghamton, Albany, Rochester, and Buffalo. So Syracuse, we've won it a lot. Unofficially, we won it 49 times. That makes us unofficial experts on snow. The beauty of snow, when it comes down and it's the first snowfall, and no one has walked through it, no animals, no person, it's just this empty palette. It just keeps on going. It's beautiful. It just keeps on rolling. It's empty. And if you have a creative brain, you get really excited, because you're like, wow, an empty palette. I can make this thing into anything that I want. I can make it into a football field and play snow football. And when you play snow football, for some reason you feel like you can hit each other harder and not get hurt because the snow's there to catch you. You might want to fall down and make a snow angel. You may want to build a snowman. But the person we're going to learn from tonight, Simon Beck, is going to teach us something else about snow. Simon can be seen right here. He's a former engineer, lived in the Alps. He kind of travels around the world to different snow countries now. But what Simon does is that when fresh snowfall comes down on the Alps or whatever mountain range, he goes out and he starts walking in it. Takes a few steps, takes a few more steps, and eventually creates this beautiful design that he envisioned. From Simon, we can learn at least 3 things, if not a lot more. So these 3 things: 1, nucleus; 2, keep stepping; 3, don't get caught up. What does all that mean? The nucleus. When Simon steps out to create this design, he has a central point. That central point gives him stability. Every step he takes away from it, he goes 1, 2, 3. He looks back to that point of stability. I can keep going 4, 5, 6. There's my point of stability. If he makes a misstep, he can now go back to that central piece and then go from there. That central piece keeps him locked into his vision. It keeps him locked into the design. If there's missteps, it's okay. I have this central piece to go back. So the first thing to think about tonight is, what is your nucleus? What is that thing that gives you stability, true stability? What's that thing that as you start trekking off to do this thing or this thing or this other great thing, what's that thing that's going to keep you on that path? That's what Simon has found, is that none of his designs come to life unless he has the nucleus. So point 1, find your nucleus. Part 2, keep stepping. When Simon goes out to step, The snow has to be in almost perfect conditions. He can take 20 steps, start making this design, and then the wind blows, and all the steps that he took are now covered up. Imagine waking up at 3 a.m., telling your wife, hey, I'm gonna go walk in the snow. Like, what? Why? Why at 3 a.m.? Because right now is when I need to start making these steps. If I wanna make this design, this is what I need to do. People are not gonna understand your full vision. They're not gonna be able to see it. They might understand your nucleus. They're not gonna understand once you start stepping. You have to keep stepping. You have to keep stepping, you have to persevere. As you keep stepping and you finish the product or the design and it's complete, now people will be able to see that's what you're doing the entire time, all right? So keep stepping. Have your nucleus. Once you have that nucleus, keep stepping. 3, the biggest takeaway that we can learn from Simon is don't get caught up. We focus so much sometimes on the finer details. All these little details, we start to think that it matters. And when we get too far into the details, we start to forget the bigger picture. We start to forget what we're after. We start to forget what we're trying to do. When that happens, you almost become paralyzed with self-doubt. You become overwhelmed with what you set out to accomplish. So let's take a deeper look here at snow. Snowflakes are all different designs. I don't know if anyone knew this. I always thought they were just circles. They fall, it's a circle, end of the day. There's all these designs. Science has found that there is 10th to the 158th possibilities of different snow structures. If Simon says, I'm gonna step in snow to create this design, but he gets hung up on all these little details, he's gonna start going, how do I fit this snowflake into that snowflake? How to make this one into that? How do I make that piece with that piece? And forget what he set out to do. So the details are important, but don't get too caught up in those details. So what's keeping you from now taking those steps? What's keeping you from getting out there? Is it that the nucleus hasn't been established? Is it that you haven't taken those steps yet? Is it that you're too focused on the individualized design, like these snowflakes, that you're afraid to start making these steps? I think a lot of times it comes down to the rejection that we've all faced. Whether it was a youth sport, a coach telling you that you're not fast enough, you're not good enough to be a starter, don't get a splinter in your butt from sitting on the bench. Whether it was a healthcare professional saying that you shouldn't be throwing a ball anymore, or deadlifts are bad for your back, give up that sport. What ends up happening is that we're focused on the individualized components. We're too far into the details. We're missing the complete story. What is that complete story? It goes a little bit like this, right? You're in pain, you're in discomfort. You go into an office trying to get some clarity, trying to get some certainty, trying to get out of this chaos that's happening, because it's not just pain, it's my livelihood. If I can't do this activity, I can't provide for my family. If I can't do this thing, I don't feel fulfilled. This gives me the hormone release that I need to feel good the rest of the day. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, this is my test of how happy the world is. Look at people in their cars. You drive down the road, I have not seen one person smile. Back home at one point, I saw someone jamming out in their car. That was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, they get it, let's go. But you see people driving and people are so miserable. And the reason is because they're not fulfilled. They're not doing what they were intended to do. We have so many people in this world. We don't have a lot of people that are alive. What's keeping them from becoming alive? A lot of times it's this misinformation. So let's use an example of the shoulder. Person has shoulder pain. They go into the office. The provider says, hold your shoulder right here. Let me push down. How does that feel? Oh, that's painful. Okay, you probably have a rotator cuff tear. Go try out some PT, but you're probably gonna need some surgery for this, right? They're looking at the snowflakes. Go get the MRI. Go get the imaging. Let's look further at the snowflakes. How do we take that step back? How do we take that step back and realize that we don't need all these little things fitting in together? We have a bigger perspective. What's that complete story? The complete story is that when you're doing this, there's 9 other muscles that are equally as active as the supraspinatus. How can we conclude that the rotator cuff is the thing creating your discomfort when 9 other muscles are helping to do that activity? We can't just say it's a supraspinatus. 96% of people show abnormalities on ultrasound imaging of their shoulder, but have no pain, no discomfort whatsoever. 89 to 91% of Major League Baseball pitchers have a partially torn rotator cuff, partially torn labrum, and are able to do one of the most violent motions to the shoulder with no pain, no discomfort. Why are people not getting that full story? Why are people only getting down to the snowflake, but not bringing it back out? Because what happens when we get to that generalized perspective? We have the nucleus, we continue to take steps, we persevere, and we don't get caught up in the details. You end up with this. Simon Beck created these designs and many more in the Alps, in the Rockies, basically wherever else they call him to go do this now, by stepping. He sets his nucleus, he steps, he comes back to the nucleus. He steps, he comes back to the nucleus. He repeats that process until these designs are made. These designs do not happen overnight. They don't happen in a day. The environment needs to be right, the conditions all need to be there, but he goes out and he does this. Why does he do this? Because he loves to. It's fun for him. He does it, it fulfills him, and it makes other people happy. What has become his hobby has now become his income. He's retired as an engineer. He now flies around the world to mountainous regions where they ask him if he can go step around and make his designs. So now we turn it back to ourselves. We reflect on those 3 points. We start to ask ourselves, I have the support that I need. I have the resources that I need. What's keeping me from doing this? Growing up, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I have dyslexia. I spent a lot of extra time in school. My family jokes around about that's why I have my doctorate now, because as a young child, I spent so much time in school learning how to write, learning how to read. I was actually telling Brandy, I was like, I'm a little worried about doing these book signings because when people start spelling their name, I can't put it on paper. I need it to pause, wait, 1 letter every 5 seconds, right? So that was the label that was put on me. Another label that was put on me is that you're just a small town kid that grew up in a trailer in one of the poorest communities in upstate New York with one of the poorest schools, poorest public schools. You can't dream of going to LA, maybe New York City, maybe you can take a bus down there, but Los Angeles? No, that's not happening. These labels, we have the opportunity to accept them and say, I can't write a book. I don't know this word. I can't spell this word. So thankful for technology and those little squiggle lines that let you know that this word's off. Because if this was back with pen and paper, I'd be in trouble. But I'm thankful for that. I stepped out of that label and I decided I'm going to move towards this. I'm going to take steps when people don't know why I'm taking these steps. I'm going to keep moving when people are questioning the movements that I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing this because I know my nucleus. I know the point that I have there. Now, my name is on the book, but it would be a lie to say that I did that, right? It takes a community. It takes people. It takes Brandy being a huge support system. Craig, go ahead, stand up. Craig, Arash, and Mike sitting in the basement at USC saying, yeah, let's start filming some videos and posting them online. Why are we doing this? Well, we know our nucleus. We're going to start making these steps. We have no idea it's going to turn into this, but they did it. They did it. Filming as students in a basement of the PT program, posting on Instagram, working in clinics, working their butts off, filming more material, all led to this happening here now. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Craig, Arash, and Mike stepping out and doing that and persevering. So what I need from all of you because you're here, and the people that weren't able to make it. We need you guys living out there with hope. We need you in your cars smiling, jamming out to some music. You don't have to have your windows down and like be obnoxious, but like smile. When you see a homeless person, you don't have to roll your window up and go, don't make eye contact, don't make eye contact. Look at them, smile. Hey, how's your day going? I don't have money for you. I don't have food for you, but I just want to say hi. That goes so far. Our world is filled with nope. And the only way we're going to change that is by these little things that'll add up to hope. And it starts with you guys. So what I want you to do is to take out your phones. You're going to turn the camera so it's facing you. So that when you open up the camera sometimes and it's on, you're like, oh, that's the camera that we want. All right? Open it up, camera's facing yourself. A lot of times what keeps us from hope is that self-doubt that we have, that narrative we have in our head, that not enough, I'm a failure, I can't do that, why me, why me? What I want you guys to do is to look yourself in the eyes, and I want you to pay yourself a compliment, a true compliment, not, oh, your eyebrows look good today, I'm having a good hair day, but an actual compliment, one that you would pay to your dearest friend. An actual compliment. So take a little bit of time. Go ahead and do that quick. Simon, engineer, started stepping, making these designs. Now he travels the world, getting paid to do things like this. You find your nucleus, you start taking those steps, you don't get too caught up in the details, you never know where it's going to lead. But what's keeping you from doing that? Reflect on that tonight. Give yourself compliments through the week. Smile in your car. Play some music. Lift other people up. But most importantly, where I want to end is thank you all for joining us tonight.